In this video, we will look at an itslearning task. I'll tell you what it is and show you how you might use it. Let's get started. Now, the task feature within itslearning is probably one of the least utilized features, but it really is a great way for you to communicate with your students. There are really two ways that you can use a task. One, it could be for the students to report to you that they've completed something that you've asked them to do. Or two, it's a way for you to communicate back to them feedback on a project or a performance or something that you have actually looked at that they have done. Let's look at this example here. So on this particular task, a student has been told that they need to watch a video on an architecture career cluster. The video has been linked here. So the student will go, click the link, watch the video, and then after they have watched that video, they'll go back to itslearning, and then up here at the top, have you completed this task? They will click the yes, and then it will be reported to the teacher that they have actually completed that task. Let's look at what this looks like on the teacher side and how to create this. So I'm back in my course, and this is the task that the student just submitted. Notice I see the same description that they saw, but underneath it, I see a list of all of the students within that class. And the first student has not completed the task yet. The second student, yes, they have completed it. Now, if you want to, you could actually write a comment back to that student, but in this particular example, I don't feel like there's a reason to communicate back and forth with the student. This just lets me know that they have completed it. Now let's look at how you make your own task. Now, during the online learning days, many of you assigned your students to complete a Dreambox activity or independent reading, things of that sort. So I'm going to make a task on that particular activity. So here is a note that a teacher has created just telling the students to do a Dreambox activity. I'm actually going to just highlight and copy all of this information. Now I'm copying a picture, which is a bad thing to do. You need to upload a picture in itslearning, but for illustration's sake, I'm going to go ahead and copy for right now. And then I'm going to go in to the folder where I want to make my task. I'm going to click the Add button, and then I'm going to scroll down to the Activity section and find Task. I'm going to title this Dreambox Activity. I'm going to paste in the directions of what I need them to do. You can set a deadline that you need them to do it at the end of a specific day. I'll choose today. Say whether or not you want it to be a homework task. And then I'm going to go down here to show more options. So I'm going to say, yes, it is mandatory. Yes, it's active. They can see it. Now notice for the assess and evaluate, I have two options. Am I just using this to track whether the task has been completed? And that is what I want, and I want to allow the students to set it as being completed. So I'm going to leave this one alone. I'm going to show you another example where I'm going to use assess the task with an assessment scale. But for this one, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to click Save. So now this is what it looks like, just like the other sample. And I can see that the students are there ready to complete that assignment. Now the last thing I want to show you about a task is the second way that you can use it to provide feedback to students on a project or a performance or something that you basically have witnessed them do, not something that they have turned into you in itslearning. Remember, if they're turning something into you in an itslearning class, it should be done as an assignment. Here's an example that I talked about earlier where I had them doing Romeo and Juliet scenes. So let's say that they're actually performing these scenes in your classroom rather than submitting videos for you. So I've got the description to the exact same project, it's just performances now, and I've actually assigned the exact same rubric that I made before. So I'm going to be grading on the content of the project, the understanding of the topic, the quality, and the teamwork. So a student will go in, they'll see the same description, they'll be able to click on the rubric. For you as the teacher, when you're actually sitting there watching the performances, you can scroll down here under participants and do the feedback right here within It's Learning. Now, since these students are performing together in the scene, I would click the names of all the students that are in a particular performance. I would say assess multiple, and it's going to group those students together. I'm going to click here and say set assessment, and it's going to pull up the rubric. So as the students are actually doing their performance, I can just click where I want to rate them for these particular things, and I can add comments on there. Once again, I can change the score if I need to. I can add more overall comments and then click Save. Now I can continue to have the students do their performances. The nice thing about this is notice up here at the top where it says no assessment is available or make available. Because I am actually giving them feedback, I have it set on no assessments available until all students have completed their performances. I don't want anybody to see any feedback until I'm completely done. Once I've graded everybody, then I can click Make Available, and then I'll say Continue. So here I am logged in as the student for this task, and they can see their feedback. So they click on the task, they see their score, they see the rubric, and any comments that I have provided for them. I hope that you see the value in tasks, and it's something that you can use in your It's Learning course.